What if I told you that true male attraction has nothing to do with looks, money, or smooth talk? What if the most magnetic men, the ones who command respect the second they enter a room, do it without saying a single word? Most people think attraction is about status or charm. But the truth is far more powerful and far more rare. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This video isn't about tips or tricks. It's not about how to impress others. It's about the 4 deep-rooted signs that you are becoming a highly attractive man, the kind of man who doesn't chase attention, because he already has gravity. We're talking about inner control, authenticity, purpose, resilience, and the 4th trait? It's the one that turns quiet confidence into undeniable power. But very few ever reach it. If you're serious about building not just attention, but deep, lasting presence, watch until the end. And if this already speaks to you, hit subscribe. Drop a comment below, and let me know which trait you already see in yourself. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. The unshakable edge. Mastery of self-control. Most men think strength is loud, anger, muscles, dominance. But the most magnetic man in the room is usually the quietest one, the calmest one, the one who doesn't need to raise his voice, because he's mastered the only thing that actually matters, himself. You can't fake this. And women can feel it before you even speak. In a world built on dopamine and distraction, self-control is a disappearing skill, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. The man who pauses before reacting, who stays grounded when insulted, who doesn't chase after the next thrill or validation hit, he becomes a rare signal in the noise. A man like that doesn't follow the mood of the room. He sets it. The Stoics understood this over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said it clearly, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's not just philosophy, that's real-world power. Because the man who controls his impulses controls his outcomes. The man who controls his emotions controls the energy of the people around him. And nothing is more attractive than emotional leadership. Let me show you what this looks like in the real world. Last year, I was at a rooftop dinner in Bangkok. High-end place, beautiful people, the kind of environment where ego fills the room. One guy, mid-50s, walked in late. Navy suit. No tie. Moved slow. Didn't try to greet everyone. Didn't perform. He sat down, ordered a single whiskey, and just listened. 10 minutes later, a loud conversation across the table turned into a full-blown debate. Voices raised, opinions clashing. This man? He didn't flinch. He didn't interrupt. He just leaned back, took a sip, and said one thing, calmly, without force. Let's solve the problem, not perform it. Everyone went quiet. He wasn't trying to win. He wasn't trying to impress. He was anchored. And that anchored energy, that self-command, completely shifted the dynamic. Now here's the deeper truth. That moment wasn't about charisma. It was about years of practice discipline. You don't get that kind of presence by accident. It comes from choosing peace over impulse again and again. From walking away from petty arguments. From sitting with discomfort instead of reacting to it. From being the kind of man who doesn't need to prove anything because his presence already proves it. To the outside world, that looks like calm. But underneath, it's control. Intentional control. And when a man has that, he becomes the one everyone else looks to when things go sideways. So if you want to know where real attraction starts, it's not in your words, your car, or your confidence. It starts in your nervous system, in your breath. In the moment between stimulus and response, where the average man loses himself, but you remain centered. Start today. You don't need to be perfect. Just catch one moment where you'd usually react and choose stillness. One less argument. One less complaint. One more act of self-mastery. Do that again and again, and people will start treating you differently, even if they don't know why. But here's the thing. All that composure, all that presence, it loses its edge if you fall into the next trap. Because there's one thing modern men are addicted to without even realizing it. And when you finally cut it off, your value multiplies. Let's go deeper. Sign number 2, the rare signal, indifference to external validation. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to impress her is the moment she becomes impressed. Not because you're playing games, but because you're finally living by your own script, not hers, not society's, not anyone else's. And that's rare. That's magnetic. We live in a world obsessed with applause. Social media has trained men to measure their worth by likes, comments, and followers. Every scroll is a subtle whisper. Do more. Show more. Be more for them. But the man rooted in Stoic strength? He doesn't need the world's applause, because he already has his own approval. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." That contradiction is the silent disease of modern masculinity. So, what does indifference to validation actually look like? Let me take you to a hotel lounge in Barcelona. It's a Saturday night. The music's smooth, lights are low, and a group of women are at the bar, dressed to be noticed. Across the room sits a man in his late 40s. Simple black shirt. No watch. No flash. He's not glancing around. Not trying to catch anyone's eye. He's journaling. Pen on paper. Fully absorbed in his own world. Now here's what happened. One of the women walked over. She asked what he was writing. He didn't close the notebook. He didn't try to turn on the charm. He just smiled, answered simply, and kept writing. Within 10 minutes, she sat down next to him, not because he tried, but because he didn't. That's the lesson. When a man lives from his core, not from the outside in, but from the inside out, people lean in. You stop chasing attention and start attracting it. Not by being loud, but by being real. The moment you stop posting just to impress, stop buying things just to flex, stop agreeing with everyone just to be liked, that's the moment you become dangerous. Not in an arrogant way, in an authentic way. Because indifference to validation is not coldness. It's clarity. It's knowing your values so deeply that you no longer need applause to confirm them. You already know what's true. You already know who you are. And here's the kicker. Women can sense this in seconds. When you're in a room and not performing, when your energy doesn't spike based on how people look at you, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability, when rooted in peace, is irresistible. So try this. Next time you're about to explain yourself, justify your opinion, over-edit your message to sound cool, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this to be understood? Or to be liked? If it's the second, stop. Say it how you would say it, not how you think she wants to hear it. Because at the end of the day, the most attractive men are the ones who don't bend for approval. They stand for truth, even if they stand alone. Now here's the thing. You could master your impulses, detach from approval, and still miss the single most magnetic trait a man can carry. It's not about what you say. It's not even about what you do. It's about the fire underneath, the thing that gets you up in the morning and pulls others into your orbit without a word. Let's talk about purpose. Because without it, everything else collapses. Sign number 3, the invisible gravity, a clear sense of purpose. Here's a truth most men learn too late. If you don't know where you're going, no one wants to go with you. Attraction isn't about abs or bank accounts, not at the core. It's about direction. It's about that quiet force that says, I know who I am, and I know where I'm going, with or without you. In a world where so many men drift, swiping, scrolling, waiting for the weekend, the man with purpose moves differently. His time feels valuable. His energy feels focused. And that energy, it pulls people in like gravity. The Stoics knew this well. Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Without purpose, you're easily pushed around. By trends. By women. By fear. But with it, you become immovable. Let me show you what that looks like. I once watched a man at a late-night diner in Brooklyn. He was sitting alone, not on his phone, but sketching a product idea on a napkin. Next to him, a stunning woman, trying to make conversation. He listened. He smiled. But he didn't deviate. When she asked what he was doing, he shared it, briefly, clearly, then went back to the napkin. It wasn't rudeness. It was alignment. He wasn't cold, he was centered. And that energy? She felt it. She leaned in, Not because he chased her, but because he had somewhere to go, and he was already walking. Purpose isn't always some grand mission or spiritual awakening. Sometimes, it's just clarity. Knowing your direction. Knowing your why. Maybe it's your business, your craft, your fitness, your faith. Or maybe it's building a better version of you, brick by brick, every damn day. Women can feel when a man has that. And here's why it's attractive. It removes pressure from them. Because you're not asking her to be your purpose. You're inviting her to join one. And when you live with purpose, everything changes: your posture, your decisions, your conversations. You stop over-texting. You stop explaining. You don't rush. You don't chase. Because you're on track. So, here's your challenge. Ask yourself, if she never existed, would I still be moving? And if the answer is no, you've made her the mission. And she can feel that. But when you've got something bigger guiding you, a direction only you can walk, then you're not just attractive, you're undeniable. And yet, purpose alone isn't enough if you can't hold steady when everything around you shakes. The next trait is the one that turns storms into strength, and most men never build it. Let's talk about unbreakable resilience, the final, silent test of a truly attractive man. Sign number 4. Unbreakable resilience. She feels it before you speak. There's something more magnetic than charm, more powerful than looks, more seductive than words. It's how a man endures. Resilience is the quiet signal that tells the world, and the woman sitting across from you, I've been through hell and I didn't break. This isn't about pretending to be tough. It's not about being emotionless or acting like nothing hurts. It's about what you do after the hurt. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And in today's world, where men are collapsing under the weight of rejection, comparison, and pressure, the man who holds his ground becomes rare and valuable. I'll never forget one night in a rooftop lounge. A guy, maybe late 40s, stood quietly at the bar. Classy, well put together. A woman approached him, beautiful, much younger. They spoke briefly. Then someone walked by and made a joke at his expense, loud enough for everyone to hear. It could have been humiliating, but he didn't flinch. He smiled slowly, turned, raised his glass, and said nothing. He didn't defend, didn't explain. And just like that, the tension disappeared. The woman didn't walk away. She leaned closer.
Why?
Because resilience isn't loud. It's not posturing. It's weight. And when you carry that weight with calm, it changes the room around you. Women notice how you handle frustration. Do you slam the table when the food's late? Do you spiral when your plans fall through? Do you sulk when she tests your patience? She's not looking for perfection. She's watching for stability. Not just in your words, but in your nervous system. When you are calm in chaos, she feels safe. Not coddled, safe. And safety, for a feminine woman, is oxygen. Resilience shows you're not shaped by the moment, you shape it. It also signals something deeper, that you're not running from pain. You've already met pain, sat with it, learned from it, and survived it. That's what makes you trustworthy. That's what makes you desirable. Not because life didn't test you, but because it did. And here you are, still walking, still upright, still grounded. So if you're the kind of man who's been through divorce, failure, betrayal, and still wakes up with fire in his chest,
Don't hide that.
own it. That's your edge. And if you've never truly been tested yet, start small. Train yourself to pause when anger flares, to reflect before reacting, to choose curiosity over control. Because true resilience isn't built in battle. It's built before it, in the quiet discipline of everyday choices. And now that you've seen the 4 signs, there's one final thing we haven't said, but it might be the most important. If you still seek validation from her more than from yourself, everything you've built can collapse in seconds. Let's talk about how to protect your frame, even when you feel uncertain, and how to anchor your masculine power in a world full of noise. Everything we've explored in this video points back to one simple truth. Real attraction doesn't begin in the mirror. It begins in the mind. It's not about chasing women, changing who you are, or projecting an image. It's about mastering the energy you bring into every room, every moment, every interaction. Self-control, purpose, resilience, and indifference to validation. These are not tricks. They're not techniques to manipulate anyone. They're the natural expression of a man who's done the inner work. The Stoics never promised ease. What they offered was strength. The Stoics taught us to master ourselves, not others. And that's exactly what you're building here. These signs of attraction aren't gifts. They're disciplines. They're reminders that your power lies in your presence, not performance. And the more you practice, the more that power becomes unshakable. And this is just the beginning of what maturity and attraction really mean. If this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and join this brotherhood of men mastering Stoicism and modern masculinity. This week, try walking into a room in silence and notice what shifts. Comment below, which of these traits do you already live, and which one challenged you the most? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we dive even deeper.